Hot Springs Village Inside Out is a closer look at the greatness of Hot Springs Village, Arkansas, and the surrounding areas. People, places, experiences. Hot Springs Village is one of the most beautiful places on earth. Join me, Randy Cantrell, and my co-host, Dennis Simpson, as we engage in weekly conversations to explore Hot Springs Village Inside Out. Today's show is brought to you by Central Arkansas's favorite radio station, KVRE. Find them on the dial at 92.9 FM. Stream them live at kvre.com. RE/MAX of Hot Springs Village, the award-winning RE/MAX of Hot Springs Village, is the largest real estate office inside the village with over 30 full-time agents and support staff. Visit them to learn more about this beautiful place to solve your real estate needs. Call them today at 1-800-364-9007 or find them online at explorehsv.com. They are RE/MAX of Hot Springs Village at 1-800-364-9007 or online at explorehsv.com.
So we had a guest at our Airbnb the other night, and we've got a little container down right underneath the house here. And on the side of it, it says fish food. And we leave it out so the guest can feed the fish. And the lady didn't see the label, and she wrote a review that said it was so wonderful. She loved it. It was great. She actually got some of the geese to eat that geese food right out of her hand. No, don't feed the geese. Don't feed the geese, right?
Yeah,
we got a geese problem, you think? A Canadian geese problem?
There's no doubt we do.
You think so? I mean, are they a protected species? I meant to ask that. I don't even know.
They are. I mean, you can't do anything. You can't do anything with the geese unless you have permission from the U.S. Department of Wildlife. We try addling the eggs, and that's putting oil on the eggs to keep them from hatching to try to control our population. And we have to get a permit from the U.S. Department of Wildlife to do that.
Really?
Yeah, and that's one way of controlling the birth rate. I mean, you don't get all the nests, but you can control some of them. But yeah, we our golf courses, our lakes, the geese poop, it's everywhere.
Why are we a goose magnet? Is it? I mean, 6 miles that way is 41,000 acres of lake. Mm-hmm. Why don't they hang out at Lake Ouachita and leave us alone? Is it the golf courses? What is it?
It's the feed. It's the people feeding.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. People feeding. You have guests come in, and they take loaves of bread and they'll throw bread out to them, and and they're just, hey, they got it made.
Yeah.
And they keep populating, and and so. You have to do something about them. You have to have some kind of a control because, the poop that geese, they poop so much, and and it can start a coli, it can start different diseases and toxins into the water, into the ground. It can ruin greens on the golf courses. I know the golf course superintendents, they just absolutely have their hands full.
Well, let's cut back to this just for a chase. And the bottom line is there are things, I see a lot of news, and we make shows on a lot of news, and there are things I don't comment on. Mm-hmm. And one of the things is the E. coli levels in the lakes. Now, last year, the DeSoto, we had our beach shut down for Memorial Day weekend. If I'm not mistaken, we were barely over the limit.
Just barely over the limit, but yeah, we were over the limit.
And you would never think it because these lakes are so pristinely sea to the bottom at 5 feet visibility clean. And you couldn't see E. coli if you could. But one of the examples that I'd mentioned earlier was one of the townhouses I was at. There was just 200 feet, 5 foot wide of geese poop where you couldn't step and not step in the geese poop. And one way or the other, that ends up in the lake. So it's not that there's E. coli running down from leaking sewer systems, I don't believe. I think we just have so many geese that love the area. And you look, they're beautiful. The little goslings could not be more adorable. They're beautiful.
Yeah.
But and I didn't really know. I assumed they were a protected species. Are they protected because we don't have them in wild numbers other places? Because, man, we got all you can shake a stick at, right?
Yeah, mainly. They're protected because of that, because of outside the village.
Really?
Yeah, and they're just they're protected here, and they're protected federally. So, you know, before you do anything, you know, you have to get permission from, like I said, from the feds, from U.S. Department of Wildlife.
Well, when we've been idling the eggs for several years until
we have
the last couple of years, and because of the pandemic, we weren't able to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, we still done it the last couple of years. We didn't do as many. And you know, you run into people, they've got nests on properties. People don't want you on their property doing it. So you can't addle on that. And then you have nests that you can't find that end up hatching. And you know, and the population's just increased so much, you know, that we're very overpopulated with them.
I had one lady tell me, we had a little dine around here on Lake DeSoto, and she told me that she had counted 27 babies this year.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There was a bunch cropped out, a whole bunch. And
yeah. And so let's be frank, you can't have E. coli levels through the roof. That cuts down the recreational use of the lake, cuts down the quality of the water, cuts down everything. So what do we do? I mean, is there a way we can take some of these out, or what do you do?
Well, actually, last year, the U.S. Department of Wildlife, you know, we got a hold of them. They came in, they've done a survey of the geese that we had. And they determined that, yes, you are way over the limit of geese that you know, that you should have. You're
by what
overpopulated.
How much overpopulated were we?
We were overpopulated by 60% of the geese.
60%.
60%, yeah. So,
which leads to disease for them too, and
exactly,
overgrazing and.
Yeah, so they actually came in last year, and I helped them, and we removed over 200. It was actually about 268, 269. We removed geese, 268 or 269 geese out of the village.
And these are big birds. These are not just chickens.
Hey, they're huge. And I mean, by removing, we just herded them into a big pen. You know, while they're molting, they can't fly, so you have to, you know, do it then. Yeah,
right.
Once a year during the summertime, they molt. They lose their fly feathers, and they can't fly. So you know, we herded them, and very, you know, we were very gentle with them. Put them in little cages, and so they took them to Valonia, and actually had those geese processed and gave the meat to different needy houses such as Jackson House and needy families and stuff like that. Yeah. Well,
I love the use here, and I hate it. I mean, I really hate it. We've talked about this before on other shows, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
People love them. They feed them around their house. You know, they're not supposed to, but they do. And hey, don't get me wrong, I like the geese too. It's not that I hate the geese, but sometimes it's just like with any kind of wild animal or any kind of wildlife that you have, when you begin to get overpopulated with that, especially if they have the disease that their poop can cause, like the geese, you know, you have to try to take some action. And you know, it's not the POA that determines, hey, you know, we're overpopulated. I can call an agency and tell them, say, hey, I believe we're overpopulated with this species. And they'll come in and they'll do a survey. I'll usually go out with them, just like the deer survey. We've done a geese survey. And, you know, they determine, these are professionals, this is all they do. And they determine, you know, hey, man, you need to do something, or you're fixing to have big problems.
And they have a national view. We have a hyper local.
Yeah, we're just they can see it nationally. And you know, we're just looking at Hot Springs Village, but they come in and, you know, hey, Todd, you know, y'all really need to do something. And so we did.
What would the problem lead to? I mean, a disease that just seems obvious. But I mean, I had the mayor of Maumelle told me one time on another show that they were German shepherds with wings, because they poop so much. I mean,
exactly.
It's unbelievable. If you've seen where they've been, there's just what is their food and what diseases do they run into? What's the and there's no predation, I guess.
There's not much. I mean, you know, you got fox and coyotes, but as you know, as close as these geese stay to water, to houses, it's not really any predation. You know, one of the biggest problems is, you know, they can destroy a golf course. They can destroy the greens by just their poop alone. he'll kill the grass.
Too much nitrogen or
too much nitrogen, and it just destroys golf courses. It can shut your lakes down from the coli, as you've seen.
Yeah.
It's just your parking lots on your lakes, your docks, your piers is just covered with goose poop. I mean, and we have to go blow it off and clean it up.
It has to go somewhere.
It has to go somewhere, and it goes mainly in the lakes.
Yeah. Well, just curious, what do they eat? Do they eat minnows? Do they eat bugs? Do they eat snakes? What do they eat?
No, they eat bugs and different, and they'll eat some minnows, and then they eat different vegetation on the ground that grows along the lake shore. But most of the time they eat the corn and the bird seed that people feed them. And the bread that people feed them, and you have all these geese, and you got guests that come, and I don't blame them. I'd probably do the same thing if I was going somewhere that I had never been, and you see these geese, and you want to throw them some bread and get them to come up and eat and all that, but they don't want to leave. I mean, when the migration comes, these geese, they don't want to migrate. They got it made. They want to stay right here.
So what's the pattern? I mean, and these are Canadian geese, or is that correct?
That's right.
And what would they normally do if we didn't encourage them to stay here too long?
They would normally fly south during the winter. You wouldn't hardly see them.
Go into Mexico or something, or what?
Yeah, into Mexico, and they would hatch down there. They'd lay their nest and hatch down there. But these don't do that. Because
we've broken their natural cycle by feeding them here.
Right, yeah, and they get it made. They don't have to go anywhere.
No predation.
No predation, and all the food they can eat. And you can't blame them.
I'm looking for a deal like that.
I do the same thing. So, but that's the problem that we've run into with them. And man, they've just gotten out of hand.
What's the long-term solution? What do? We encourage villagers, hopefully with this kind of show, not to feed them, but
we don't want to feed them, and also we want to, we're going to continue to try to add eggs and to cut the numbers down that way, and also we may have to bring back in the U.S. Department of Wildlife later on.
Well, I'm going to stab at it. I mean, I like the government and all, but I'm assuming they don't do this for free.
No, they don't. It costs us a little money. It's not a whole lot, but it costs us a little money to get them to come in here and do this for us. But at the end of the day, it's well worth it.
Yeah, well, and we're back to that deal. If nature can't make the balance for us, then we end up trying to step in and balance it back up so that the disease, the all the other things don't take back over. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, and I see them on the golf courses all the time, and I guess they're eating bugs.
Yeah, and the clippings, of the
they want the grass clippings.
They'll eat the grass clippings, and then while they're eating, they're pooping.
You think?
So they you'll see 10 or 12 gather on a green, and it's just, it just destroys that green. You get up there and they just poop all over.
Well, and I think the moral of the story here, and I want to end on a good note, and it is a good note, and that is our staff, Todd and all of our staff here, are working hard to keep this balance. And when they say don't feed the geese, they're not saying that because they're a bunch of killjoys and they just don't want you having any fun. It's because of what it leads to down the road. Todd, if you don't mind, can I share your email address if people want to reach out to you about things?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
And that's Knowles, Noles at hsvpoa.org.
That's right.
Knowles, Noles. Todd, just a moment here, because it's a shorter episode, but I want to fill some people in maybe that hadn't caught this before. Give me your background. You didn't just come off the street and be qualified to do the job you're doing. Tell me what you do, because we've covered that in other jobs, and tell me your education background for this.
Well, currently I am the lakes, dams, common property, spillways, and forestry and wildlife superintendent. I've been here for 27 years, but I actually started working for the POA when I was 16, 1989, up at the games centers. It's up there.
Passing out putters.
Yeah, you're right there by where the basketball court and
Yeah.
pickleball and stuff used to be. That used to you have to pay to get in there.
What?
Yeah, you used to have to pay to get in there. You had mini golf, you had basketball, you had the pool, and I took the money. You know, they had a little thing there. I took the money. Daphne Hobbs, she's who I worked for, and then I started to work full time for the POA, and in 1995 in the construction division, putting in the underground utilities. I worked there until about 99 or 2000, when the utilities department, when everything just about got built.
Yeah.
And then I went to work for the street department, and I got moved over to the street department. I worked there until we had a tornado come in 2011. Then we had a bunch of trees down. So they needed someone to be able to survey the common property, get the trees cleaned up off the common property. So then I went, I got my associate's degree in forestry and surveying, where I could survey the common property, you know, and also so be a forester. So I'm a registered forester. So then I took over later on the forestry and common property, of course, because I've got a degree in forestry. And then as of April of this year, March or April of this year, Brad Meredith left, and I was over the common property and forestry, dams, spillways, and wildlife.
And then he was over the lakes.
And he was over the lakes. And then he left, and so they put the lakes under my umbrella also. So now I'm the lake superintendent. Which
just only really makes sense. And I understand from the outside that some people may be looking at the way Kelly's reorganizing things, Kelly Hale, the new general manager. Mm-hmm. They may say, well, why is he reorganizing this? But in some places, there's just a natural fit. You were in charge of common properties and spillways, but not in charge of the lakes.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, Dennis, and, you know, and I'm not just saying this. I'll just be honest with you. I've been here a long time, probably 27 years now. And I tell you, Kelly and Ken, the new public service director, I tell you, it's just and they've done such a great job. And I thank the world of Kelly. Kelly's a good guy. He's very straightforward, and he's going to do what's best for Hot Springs Village.
Something tells me you know where you stand.
Yes, you know exactly where you stand with him, and I tell you, like I said, I think the world of him. I think he's, you know, he does what's best for Hot Springs Village. You don't have to worry about where you stand with Kelly. He'll let you know. He'll let you know real quick.
And I think really, I think people that if you look back on it and you analyze it, there's a really couple of things that you really want from a boss, and that is you want fairness.
Yeah.
And you want to be able to know you can trust them.
That's the number one thing, and you can trust Kelly.
Yeah.
If he tells you something, that's the way it's going to be.
Like it or not.
Like it or not. And if he's not happy with something, he'll let you know. And
you've never had to ask him what his feelings are and what his inner. No. You never had to get him on the psychologist couch. How does this make you feel about your mother? No. He's able to tell you right away.
Yeah, and the thing about it is too, we've been actually now to get the things that we actually need to do the job. I mean, we've bought different things before that. You know, I give you an example. You know, I've got a side mount that we cut the limbs on the side of the road with.
Okay, well, now cut that down for the laity. What now? I know what you're talking about, but
it's a tractor with a boom that sticks out.
Basically, it's like a brush hog that goes sideways.
Right,
on the side of and it can. For those of you who don't know what it's like in places that have a lot of water, in Arkansas, anywhere the sunlight hits the ground, the trees are trying to get to that sunlight.
Exactly.
Is that fair enough?
And we're overtaking the village. But anyhow, they had when they ordered this before I had anything to do with it, they had ordered years ago. They ordered a flail mower for it. Well, the flail mower is to cut grass, it's not to cut limbs. So we kept having trouble with it. Well, now, you know, we've got a forestry. It's called a growler head, and man, I'm telling you, we can get some work done. And that's the thing I'm talking about with Ken and with Kelly. If you need something, you explain to them, you know, hey, this is what I need, and this is why I need it, and they'll help you get it, and you can get some work done.
But it makes you a better communicator, because if you can't communicate it to Kelly, he's not going to say yes.
That's
If
right.
it's
That's
vague
right.
in his mind, Dr. No comes out, as I understand it.
Yeah. And hey, and when you go to him with something, you better have your stuff together. You better tell him exactly why you're doing it, how much, and everything else.
When you get to step 3, you better have the answer for step 3 too, right?
Yeah, I guarantee you. But no, he's a great guy, man. I tell you, I love working for him, and I just really feel blessed to be here in the position I'm in, and I thank them for having the confidence in me to lead this, to continue the success in the departments that we have, and we've done a lot of work in the last 3 or 4 months, and we got a lot more to do, but looking forward to it.
Well, let me come back in. You touched on something else I want to give a shout out to. That Ken Unger guy.
Oh,
he doesn't mess around either. And once
No.
again, this is where logic can prevail. And logic isn't the cure for everything. I get it. But when you look and you say, okay, well, this department needs this piece of machinery, and this department needs this piece of machinery, and this department uses it 30% of the time, and this department uses it 30% of the time, why are we buying 2 pieces of machinery?
That's right. That's right. And I'll tell you something right now, Dennis. You can put this on record.
Yes, sir.
I've been at the POA for 27 years. Best man I ever worked for.
Really? That's a pleasure. And I tell you what, and I want to shout out to Jason. Loved Jason.
Jason,
incredible guy. Incredible guy.
He was.
Miss him. And I'll be frank. When I met Ken, I'm like, you're going to have to do something to beat Jason. And I'm like,
yeah.
He's a Jason equal, if not, No, I truly enjoy him too. Yeah.
I was worried about it myself when things changed.
Really?
And yeah, I really was. Jason and I, we got along great.
Well, and y'all had a very symbiotic relationship. You had a lot of things to work together on.
Yeah, we did. And I thought a lot of Jason. I was nervous, when all the changing occurred. But, I'll tell you, Dennis, it's I feel blessed that I'm in a position and I work for who I work for. Yeah. Like I said before, Ken's probably he's probably the best guy I've ever worked for. And I tell you why. You can talk to him. You can talk to him if you got problems. Same with Kelly. Hey, you can go in Kelly's office, and if you got a problem, you can sit down and say, "Hey, Kelly, man, they're just great leaders." And Ken, if I need something, I go in there and say, "Hey, Ken, I really, I could really use this," and Ken will help you get it. And it's just, whatever you need to do your job safely and more effectively. They're all for helping you get that. And it's, like I said, Ken's probably one of the best ones that I've worked for.
Well, that's one. And we're blessed to have you and him and Kelly both. Seriously.
Yeah.
And I'll make note, the answer can't always be yes. I got that.
That's right.
The answer can't always be yes. But I guarantee you, and I know these guys well enough to say this, and I know this about you too. I walk out of your office, I feel heard. I know you heard what I said.
Exactly.
Maybe we can't fix it today, but I know that you heard what I said, and we can come back around and work on this when the time comes, or when the funds come, or whenever we can work on it. Right.
Exactly. And it's, and it makes you feel good, especially as a superintendent.
I don't know if you remember, but the lessons for the reasons that people show up at work. Money is between number 3 and number 5.
That's right.
Reward, achievement, feeling of accomplishment. These are all in the top 3 based on whatever report you want to see. People, you want to go to work and go, I feel accomplished. I'll end with this story. I used to have a pastor in Little Rock who was a Lutheran pastor, and we'd go out for lunch every Thursday, and became a great friend. And he said one day, Dennis, would you take me out to the village? I was like, it was kind of a lunch. I'm like, yeah, okay, sure. We're going to blow an afternoon, but okay, sure. And we came out to Coronado Golf Course, and we're sitting at Coronado Golf Course having a burger. And he's looking out. Now, this is a doctor of theology who makes $1.25 a year. And this has been 15 years ago. Well-paid pastor, well-respected man. And we're looking out over the golf course, and the guy's mowing the golf course. He said, boy, I'd like to do that. I said, let me get this straight. You're making triple what I am. You're making a great living. You got all these, got a church with 600 or 700 people, and you wish you were mowing the yard. And he said, when that guy's done mowing the yard, it's going to look good. I said, yeah. He said, when I'm done counseling with people, I can't tell anything.
He likes that accomplishment.
Exactly. He said,
Yeah.
I can't tell I did a thing. I said, well, you got to be more patient, Tom. You got to be more patient. Well,
But
I tell you what, for Hot Springs Village Inside Out, Todd, anything else I wanted to mention?
you know, it's just it's great coming on with you, Dennis. Hey, and I appreciate everything you do to try to get the word out here to the village and try to let people more understand who works here at the village. And I just, you know, it's great coming on with you anytime that I can. If you ever want to talk to me again or want me to come on, hey, it's a privilege being on your show.
It's a delight. And to know that we're being seen in Oark, Arkansas.
That's right. That's another plus. That's another plus.
For Hot Springs Village Inside Out, I'm Dennis Simpson, Todd Knowles. We will see you next time.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Hot Springs Village Inside Out, a podcast where Hot Springs Village, Arkansas is the star. Please subscribe to the podcast. You can do that by visiting our website, hsvinsideout.com, and tell a friend.